Central Bank of Nigeria has directed banks under regulatory forbearance to temporarily suspend dividend payments, defer bonuses for directors, and halt investments in foreign subsidiaries or offshore ventures. Also in the news, the Dangote refinery is going to be expanding its distribution of diesel and PMS across the nation, making significant investments in compressed natural gas truck tankers, about 4,000 of them, and also investing in stations as well. And we'll be extending credit facilities for orders of PMS to the tune of about 500,000 liters. Arise business analyst Chika Mbonu joins us to discuss the news. Welcome to the show, sir. Good to see you on this Monday.
How are you?
Fine, thank you. Fine, thank you.
A new week today.
A new week with big stories for you to tackle. Shall we begin with CBN?
The banks.
Of course.
The banks.
Please,
okay. I mean,
break this down for us.
There have been so much of this in the press, in the social media over the weekend. And what we'll try to do is to, as usual, is to explain it to our viewers. Now, the CBN before Cardoso, there are two issues involved here. One has to do with the single obligor limits of banks, and then the second one has to do with provisioning by banks. Provisioning means loans that have gone bad, and how you provide for them. Now, the single obligor limit, basically in the banking is the maximum amount of money that a bank can lend to a company or a group of related companies. Basically, that limit is put in place to manage risk.
Okay.
So that if something happens to the group or the company or the group, the concentration risk does not impact the bank badly. So the current provision or the current limit is 20% of the shareholder funds of banks, unimpaired by losses.
Okay.
So that's the maximum that banks can lend to a single individual or group of companies that have similarities.
Yeah. That's
usually for commercial banks. I think that for merchant banks, I think is 50% of their shareholders' fund.
Okay.
So the first thing that happened was that a combination of factors led the central bank then to give some dispensation to some banks to exceed that single obligor limit for particular customers or transactions.
Okay.
Some of them were in the national interest in quotes, and some of them were some peculiarities. What happens now is that the banks are lending above this threshold, and then, of course, any money on top of this threshold.
Right.
But you see, the other thing happens that the risk dynamics have also increased above the limit that CBN ordinarily system can accept.
Yeah.
And they have been doing that. So CBN, the new, says in the light of the fact that we're moving to the next levels, in light of the fact that we're doing the capitalization and want to move the system to the next level, we need to clean up things. And so you have to mark down or bring down these loans or get the borrowers to repay down the loans to your single obligor limit levels. If you don't do that, all the earnings from these places, you can use them. You can pay dividends, you can pay bonuses, you can do an investment in foreign subsidiaries. Simply because of the fact that the real dynamics of those banks have changed. So that's the first thing. And I know the companies involved, I know the banks involved, but it is not to be wise to talk about them in this program like this openly. So that's the first thing. There's not much there. The issue is go back to these borrowers and say at this time we're supposed to our limit should have supposed to be 100 naira, but we'll give you 150 naira. So please pay down 50 to bring it down to the limit. So that we'll comply with the CBN rules of single obligor limit. Otherwise, we're going to have problems with CBN. So the issue is will the person have the money
to pay that
out? So that's the first scenario, to make sure that we manage the systematic risk, bring down the risk management to the single obligor levels, which is what is defined for other banks. In Nigeria now, it's 20% of shareholders' funds. So that's lesser of the two issues.
Yeah.
The second issue is the fact that the IFRS 9, International Financial Reporting Standard 9, is the global standard that manages or guides the provisioning of loans. Remember that, banks are there to collect money from depositors and give to those who are borrowing.
Yeah.
And a lot of people just think that banks are there for holiday. But you see, if I tell you the amount of loans that are bad in the banking industry, you will shudder. So banks carry a lot of costs.
Yeah.
So some of these loans that the banks give also go bad. Now, the IFRS 9 has said that there are classifications for loans: good loans, non-performing loans, the second one, criticized loans, and non-performing loans. So those three classes have percentages allotted for you're going to provide in your profit to cover for those loans that are going bad. Now, what happens then is that, again, the former CBN, because of the plethora of some of these transactions, due to maybe macroeconomic issues or some other individual company challenges, have given some banks and said, now, the IFRS 9 says when these things happen, when a loan is marked as non-performing, you must take the hit into your bottom line immediately. No drama.
Yeah.
Now, but the central bank at that time has said, we can give you a forbearance because of the quantum impact of these provisions into your bottom line in one accounting period. Will allow you to spread it over some accounting periods. This was also done during the COVID era, last past, but a lot of banks went to CBN to get that, forbearance to enable them to spread their provisions over several accounting periods instead of taking a quantum at a particular period. And so what has happened then, therefore, is, look at it this way. The current CBN is saying, see guys, these loans were marked them as non-performing, which means at the accounting period X1, you're supposed to have taken them to hit your bottom line to determine your real profit. But you didn't. You have been spreading over a period of time. So the profits you have been declaring really have been a little bloated. So let's normalize things now that we're trying to clean out. Otherwise, if you still want to continue the forbearances the way you wanted, the way I ran before, you aren't going to pay dividends. We won't like to pay dividends because the profits are a bit bloated. Now remember, the investment in subsidiaries is done from retained earnings too. So remember, after paying dividend, whatever flushes to retained earnings. So again, bloated. So we're saying, CBN is saying, you can't make investment in subsidiary, you can't pay dividends. And then remember the big bonus the bank CEOs and everybody earns. Again, it's calculated based on the profit, and the profit is a bit bloated. So again, it says you can't pay that until you clear the forbearances. So this is the issue. I'm aware that one of the FUGAs, one of the top 5 banks, actually in Q4 2024, took a bite. Almost $404 million, I'm aware, that they used to hit their bottom line to take the provision at once. Instead of forbearing it over a period of time. So now you can see all the banks who are concerned, again, who won't come here to come and mention the names. Because we know the loans involved, we know the banks involved. But the issue is that those banks are working towards it. What are the options? I sure do know that a lot of the bank CEOs will be trying to see the Cardoso also. And if I were Cardoso, but I'm not going to be available for the next 4 weeks. I won't be available for the next 4 weeks, man. Because I'm going to be putting pressure on him. But you see, what are the options available to the banks? The first one is, take the hit immediately, this half year. Now, some of them, he had to normally pay dividend by half year. So that may impact the dividend payment this half year. Some of them also have enough reserves, hopefully. Because most of the loans are the stage 2 loans, and then that's about 10 to 50% provision. So, some of them have enough reserves to take the hit and pay dividends. So let's see. Some of them don't even have the capacity. Some of them may have to bring in new capital. Some of them who have capital adequacy of about 15%, they may lose some basis points and come down to maybe about 10. But the issue is, major for them, for some banks. But the issue is this: the whole banking system is solid.
Yeah.
There's no panic. It's just the fact that in line with the capitalization program of the current central bank governor, it says let's make the industry more resilient.
Right.
Let's know how solid that we are. Let's clean up our books before moving to the next levels of the growth in the industry.
Yeah.
And let's not have any cobwebs in some pockets and whatever. And that's basically what is happening. And so banks are trying to make up their mind. Should we take the provision fully now? If we take the provision fully now, remember, no dividend payments.
Right.
Starting from this half year, for those who do have year dividend payments, that's how you get no banks.
Right. Who is affected?
Is affected. We have we can't publish it.
Yeah.
Or you take the hit. Some of them may declare loss, maybe, I don't know, depending on the impact.
Yeah.
Because some of the loans are actually
pretty high.
Pretty high.
All right, Business Analyst Chika Mbonu. Tomorrow we have to discuss the Dangote refinery and the impact on reduced petroleum imports and initial. Tomorrow for sure, we'll run out of time. But thank you as always for the clear breakdown of this banking situation. And there will be updates, so we'll bring it to bring us up to speed as the updates come.
Tomorrow, Dangote is very important for the economy.
Fantastic. And you visited the refinery.
Yes.
All right, Business Analyst Chika Mbonu. Thank you as always for the breakdown.